Yes, people, welcome to the first official podcast, the Barbershop Convo. Today, I'm your host, Kenneth. I'm here with my brother, my boy, my co-worker, Javon, but I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Jovan and I'm a barber. As Kenneth just said, we work in the same shop. We work at Diligence Barbershop, shout out Diligence as well. And today we're here. We're here to give you some insights about barbering, how we got started, and so on and so forth. Now, Kenneth, back to
Man,
you.
it's crazy because I remember when I first met you, like I just moved to Ealing. I was I was like literally handing out business cards and I met you on the road and I'm like, hey, my bro, like, yes, my business card. And you said to me, yo, I'm a barber, I'm down the road. And ever since then, we've been chopping it up, man. Like,
Yeah, man, history from there.
bro, it's
From there.
history, bro. It's
From there
crazy
we've been
because,
to go. From there we've been on go, my guy.
bro, come on, man. Like it's just progress. But one thing that's crazy to me is, like, why do you think it's so hard for barbers to show love to other barbers?
I don't know. I feel like when it comes down to like more of like a you as a person, really. And
Mm,
because some barbers always see it as competition, when really and truly it should just be as, someone who really want to like just make progress as a person and just go forward. But that everyone is not like that, isn't it?
yeah, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I remember when I first started barbering as well. Like, it was a lot of like competition. The old heads, and you're young, and you get into it, and a lot of people's like, they don't really like your vibe from the very first go, bro. Like, what, like, when you see like younger barbers that is getting into the industry, like, how do you feel like they can deal with not being liked? You know, and
Just, just, I feel like they could just focus on pleasing their clients. Focus more on pleasing their clients and making sure they're happy and, taking the constructive criticism, if that makes sense. And at the end of the day, it's all about getting better day by day. Because no one barber started off being a barber and then straight away they were just good. If that makes sense. Some barbers act like when they started barbering they were just sick at trimming, but no. Everyone started up being shit and then made progress from there. So they need to see it as competitive advantage. If that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense, man. That makes a lot of sense because, like, there's a key word that you said, constructive criticism. Because I feel like that's where a lot of people get twisted. It's like, hey, like, I don't mind you saying, yo, bro, like, that haircut might not be it, but you give me advice. Like, how do you think I can make that haircut it then? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And sometimes I feel like a lot of times people get that confused with pleasing other barbers when really and truly you only have to worry about your client, man.
Yeah,
Like,
pleasing that client. At the end of the day, you could. It's crazy because you could give a client like the best trim in your opinion, which is like your best trim you ever done. But then if that client doesn't like that trim, they still wouldn't come back to you.
facts. That's like
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like, how long have you, like, obviously, for I know you as a person, I know you as a barber, but there's a lot of people that will be watching this now that's thinking, oh, Javon is a barber. Like, how did you create your brand? Like, Inevitable Cuts, which, by the way, is a sick name, bro. I've never told you this, bro, but
yeah.
it's such a sick name.
For me, when I started off, I didn't really have a name, and it's like I was just trying to figure out what name can I choose to like really just make it happen. And I was like, you know what? What's a word I can use for something that can happen, like it must happen. Like it can't stop you. Doesn't matter how you try to stop it, it's going to happen. Like I'm going to be great. I'm going to be a sick barber eventually. With me just trusting my process and just going down my path and staying in my lane, I was like, yeah, it's inevitable. And inevitable is just the meaning is just it has to happen. Doesn't matter what you try, it must happen.
It must happen because,
Yeah, so
like it's such a great name, bro. Like, it's Inevitable Cuts. Like, honestly, like, sometimes I think about it. Like, we even have conversation where I go, it's inevitable, and then
yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Inevitable
Yeah, it's
Cuts.
inevitable cost. That's it.
Like,
Yes, sir.
what did Thanos said? You were so scared of your loss, he eventually brought you back to me. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah, it's inevitable,
Honestly,
bro.
such a sick
Yeah.
name, man. Such a sick name. Like, how long have you been like trimming for then? And like,
Yeah.
how did your journey first start?
Crazy. I've been trimming. This year is making 6 years since I've been trimming. And
Wow.
when I started off trimming, it was just before the first lockdown. And the first lockdown, them times there, like bare raves going on. So I was like in the mirror, I was like, look at myself. I was like, I'm not wearing a beanie to go out. I'm not putting nothing on, and that's the frost fades thing, by the way. Um,
Oh yes.
I say I ain't putting no beanie on. So I was like, I was in the mirror. I tried to fix my haircut. So I had this clippers, this wall one, the one you turn it on and you make that noise, and like you go like. Well, I tried to trim myself with that, and I have no experience in barbering, and I tried to trim myself, and you know how that goes. It went terribly wrong. So I was like, on YouTube, because like, no, I really can't step out with a bad haircut, and I was on YouTube and I was just typing up how to like do a fade, and I came across what's that guy name? What's his
360 Jeezy.
360 Jeezy? Shout out 360 Jeezy,
Shout
and
out
ever
360.
since, bro. I watched him and the way he break everything down to teach you how to trim. And I trim myself and I just followed the steps. And from there, bro, it's been history. I started off trimming my nephew, my brother-in-laws, and that was it from there.
Because I've been trimming for just a bit longer, and I can remember when I first started trimming, booking system was not a thing, bro.
Nah,
Like
bro.
it was.
What's that? What's Brooklyn system? Bro, when you go to the barbershop at like, for example, on a Sunday, mainly Sundays, our parents used to send us to the barbershop to get a haircut. You go to the barbershop the earliest, from like 10, 9, but you leave in there like 5 p.m.
Bro, if you leave at 5 p.m., sometimes be grateful because
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah, you're sitting down and they're letting people like that just came in sit in front of you because
See, in
obviously
front of
that
you.
guy might pay a bit more money and
But
that
but
guy
not
might.
just that. At that time, you're just a kid, and then they're thinking, oh, trimming a kid, I might make that amount. But if I trim a grown person, I'm making this amount. So more time they try to get probably like the older folks out of the way, innit? Oh,
Straight. Like,
yeah.
so with that now being said, it's like, how do you feel like booking system has helped the game? Like, you look at booking system like Calendly, you look at Booksy, like there's so many out there that you can use. Like, how do you feel like them booking system has helped the barbers develop?
I feel like the booking system kind of advanced with the time, because now I feel like more people care about time a bit more, and I feel like back
Mm,
then people didn't really care about their time. But now people take their time serious and know if they book for free, they're gonna have their haircut at exactly 3, or sometimes you may run late, which is
Three
acceptable.
ten, three
Yeah, three
twenty.
ten, 3:20, yeah, some shit like
I,
that.
but then
Yeah,
you still get a lot of clients that are like, I don't like, hey, bro, I don't want to book online. I don't want to book online. Like,
you know
how do you?
the crazy thing with that, those clients would never book online. Doesn't matter what you try. They will never book online. But there's also the ones who will never book online, but will always be on time.
Yes, that's true. So
Yeah,
how do you balance that? Like what clients like you see like if let's say a client comes in and you trim them for the first time, hey, this is my booking system, and they call you again and don't book online. Like how do you know like okay, cool, maybe this client they're gonna be on time? Is he like an instant?
because
Is
you
it
know
just an
that.
instant?
Okay, because you after you trim a client like 2 or 3 times, you kind of
Mm,
get to know that client after you conversate with them and see what type of person they are. Like for example, you trim a client once or twice. Say for example, the second time he's always been on time, so you know he's a bit trustworthy now. So you could keep when he calls you, you can book it in for him, and they will always be there on time. Sometimes they even come before that time.
yeah,
They'll always
yeah.
be there, and most people like that, they're very flexible. Sometimes they might want to come for 2, but you only have 4 available, and they'll be like, "Bro, yeah, that's fine." And yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like
I lo-
these ones they don't book online, but they're pretty calm. I mean, the proper ones, or if you're not trimming like roadmen and them man is always thinking their time is more important than yours. Then
I feel
yeah,
like I feel like that's what's crazy, like because I remember one time I had a client booked in for I think 5 o'clock, and he calls me at like 5:40. He was like, "Hey, bro, I'm 5 minutes down the road." I'm thinking, "Bro, you're late." He's like, "Yeah, but if I book for five, then my appointment should be between 5 and 6." But it's like sometimes you get to that like place in booking where it's a bit more challenging. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like booking clients in helps you also organize your day. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
But also with these ones, I feel like when it comes to these ones, that's where you need to really put your foot down and just stand on business there. Because if you start doing that for them now, they will always do it now.
Yes, that's
Oh,
true.
so once they miss their point, you have to let them know. Like either they have
Hey,
to cover your time, and if they want the next time, you have to also pay for that one, or just trim them another day. And
and get something. What
yeah,
is the craziest? Obviously, you've been trimming for 6 years. Like you must have had a bunch of people come in that like request a certain haircut that you're thinking, what for real? Like, what is the craziest haircut you've ever done for someone?
uh, I'll still say a mullet. I still feel like mullets are a bit weird.
Don't say that. I got a mullet right now.
I'll say a mullet, especially if that person doesn't have that kind of head shape to really pull off the mullet. I just feel like it's still a bit of a crazy one. Or people will come and ask for like the Edna cut.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. The
Yeah,
Edna. The
cause right
Edna.
now the Edna car is a bit famous right now.
Like like what when you came into barbering, I would ask you this: what haircut was trending? Like, how do you think that's like adapted to where we are now? Because taper
Tapers,
fade was not a
tapers.
thing.
When I started, tapers was trending, but obviously back in the day, way back, you'd be like Mohican, waves,
Oh, the
1.5 all
Mohican,
over.
bro, the Mohican phase, bro.
Yeah,
What
or,
have
or,
has
or it might
barbering
be like the high
evolved?
fade, and it just have the 180 waves on top. Yeah,
Oh,
these were the trending haircuts, and like bare designs on the side.
yes, I
Yeah,
remember. You remember them? I think in Nigeria we call it punk. It's like a high top, but it's like slanted, like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
remember?
yeah. I know them ones. It kind of like this. Yeah, yeah, I know them ones. And some people used to get like the part in right here. They have the afro, but like there's a part in the middle as
There's
well.
a part in down the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah, yeah.
man. Like obviously, you look at it, like the change that we've gone through as barbers. Having to evolve, having to like get better. Now you get clients that think like, yo, £30, £40 are too expensive for haircuts and stuff like that. Like I've always been like, barbers have evolved, but the prices have stayed the same. So I feel
That's
like,
because
like,
with this as well, I feel like what a lot of clients don't know is the price of our equipment, price of our clippers, and all that stuff. Like if the clippers that we use, one clipper is like £250.
yeah, they are,
So a
they
lot of
are.
a lot of investing goes into those machines so you can pull off like a really good haircut for them, and they can just be out there looking
Remember
good.
back in the days, like you could get like the professional detailer for like £60. Now
Yeah, but
detailers are like 180.
yeah, but remember those were carded. They don't even make those no more.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Like but it's crazy because obviously I got into barbering at a young age. You got into barbering at a young age. We're kind of growing in our craft. Like we're
Yes.
kind of growing but these days there is very, very young people, like younger people are not trying to go into barbering anymore. Younger people are not trying to go into like handcraft anymore. Like, why do you think that is?
I feel like it comes down to parenting, really, because
Mm,
most kids get stuff handed to them. They don't always like to work for stuff. They don't always like to grind. They don't always like to save towards something, and their parents give them everything. So it's like now when it's time to work, they want to get into a job that is paying them money straight away.
yes.
Like straight away they want to make money, but as barbers, when you start off, you really and truly is not making anything. You start off doing trims, start off standing, watching, your foot is hurting, and when you finally are trimming, them times you can't even trim properly yet. You're doing three trims, then you start doing like 5 pound trims, and then it goes from there. As you improve, your money goes up, but it doesn't happen overnight. You don't get employed by an employer now, and then you start getting paid by the fortnight or at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you kind of have to grind your way, don't you?
You have to grind your way. Pause. You have to. Yeah.
But that is a thing though. That is a thing. Like like we look at younger barbers nowadays. It's like I get like you get barbers that start cutting hair a month in. They want to start charging £30 a haircut. Like
Yeah, which I think is wrong. Which I think
what
is wrong.
advice what advice would you then give to a young barber like that?
To be fair, a young barber, it depends. If he's working by himself and he feel like he's all for himself, then it doesn't matter what advice you give to him, it might not help. But if I'm gonna give him advice, I'm gonna tell him to like just be honest with himself.
That's
Compare your haircuts with other barbers, see how it looks, see where you need to improve. Not compare to see if you're better, but compare to see where you need to improve.
I think improvement is a big thing. It's a major thing, you know.
It
Like
is
we did,
very important.
because at the end of the day, you're in a job that is crafting, you know. So when you have to like show your craft, you have to be able to say stand by it, you know. And sometimes we get a lot of barbers now that I feel like they do things for the trend, you know, like hey, this haircut is trending, this barber is charging 250 for haircuts. I
So
want to charge the same.
yeah, yeah, for real. Yeah, I know a few barbers like that. They just, but it's the same thing. It comes down to greed. They just feel like they need to make a whole heap of money one go. But then at the same time, you can overcharge a client now, and then you will never have that client again. So it's all about thinking about the long run.
It,
It's better. You're better off having a client that's coming to you every 2 weeks than one is coming to you like every 6 months.
that's true. That's true. Obviously, we're coming closer to the podcast, the end of the podcast, because it's not, we're not, this is not like an hour podcast. It's more of a 20, 30 minute podcast. And for me, I think Javon is somebody that we're going to see more of on this podcast. You know, that's my brother. So there's going to be more and more podcasts where we're going to share more insight. But for this podcast, what is the one message that you can send to like barbers, like in terms of um like how they carry themselves? Like one person that I've always seen and I've always been like, yo, like he is a barber with a fashion is yourself. You're into fashion. Like how have you managed to kind of link your fashion with your barbering?
I'll say this, yeah. I just feel like because when you're around people, you want to have a good impression on everyone around you. You don't want to be dressed for work or dressed in a barbershop like your roadman.
Yes.
You want everyone to feel comfortable. You want to smell good. You want to smell nice. You like I'll say like, bro, shower before you come to work. Get some nice cologne. Smell good. When you look good, you feel good.
Mm.
So make your clients feel comfortable. Not one of those people who's coming to work smoking weed, and when a client come in, all I can smell on you is you're stinking of weed. I'm not saying that you can't smoke, but carry yourself properly. If you go outside to take a smoke, you come in, you wash your hands, you
Because
carry yourself properly.
I do feel like it's very important, like, you know, because at the end of the day, you want to attract a certain type of clients. So you have to be that person that you want to attract, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, you are what you attract.
You are what you attract, man. So even 10 years, you could travel to see yourself in 10 years from now, not 10 years behind, but 10 years in the future. You know, where would you hope inevitable cuts, like where would you hope you want inevitable cuts to be? Not
I
you
would,
as a person, but the brand.
I would want the brand to become like a whole endorsement in general.
That's
Like it be everywhere with Tony. You could say, for example, like you see HD cuts there, HD cuts here. See inevitable cuts being like that, but everything is time. Like nothing happens overnight. Like that, them guys didn't just wake up and just have it all sorted. It takes a lot of hard work, sweat, long hours in the shop doing a lot of hours.
man, you're doing the things that people don't want to do. Like, you know, how do you balance? Like, for someone like me, I always say, hey, I want to go to the gym. I don't have enough time to go to the gym. How do you balance that? Your regular life, your work life, your gym life, your fashion life, and still do stuff outside the gym, like
It's
outside of work. I mean,
it's priorities. A lot of people don't see gym as priority. They don't see taking care of their self as priority. They don't see getting fit as a priority. So it's all come down to your priorities. They might not have time for the gym, but they got time to go clubbing every weekend.
that's facts. Like, I do want to say, like, obviously, thank you very much for definitely coming into the podcast. Like, I feel like having you as the first guest in this podcast as is a very big blessing to like a lot of like people that would be listening, myself, like because this is something that I feel like needs to be done. We need to kind of like shine an insight on barbers. Like this is mainly for beginner barbers when they want to come through to the barbering industry. I want to be able to create a platform where they could come, they could learn one or two things, they could come and listen to people. Um, you get like, people that are not barbers as well. Like we want to be able to create this platform for them where
Yeah.
they could also come and learn what it's like to be one of us. Like, what it's like to be a barber, what it's like to like just stand and cut hair, like the life of a barber behind being in a shop 24/7. Which I feel like this is what this platform is going to be for like-minded individual, for like ourselves to be able to come and learn something. Um, so one thing I do want to say, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like, leave a comment about this podcast, what you think about it, and also subscribe to it. If you're watching it on TikTok and Instagram, make sure to hit the follow button and like and comment on this video. Let us know when Javon does eventually come back to this podcast, which will be sooner than later. What do you guys want to hear us talk about more? What do you guys feel like we haven't gone more in depth about, and what would you want to know more about? If you're curious to see how you can get onto the podcast, by any chance, just shoot me a message on our Instagram or my email at hello@frostfade.com. I will be happy to respond to you and get you on board with the podcast. But one last question to Javon before we say our goodbyes is and this is something that, like, for me as a barber, like, I get to experience this a lot. I get to see a lot of clients that struggle with this. Is hair care routine. Hair care routine. How often do you feel like people needs to wash their hair, and do you feel like people need to wash their hair before every haircut? Do you feel like it should be a daily thing? Like, how often do you feel like people need to kind of like wash their hair, and what is the one product that you would never recommend to anyone?
When it comes down to people carrying their hair, it comes down to hair type and how often you get your hair done. So, for example, if you got afro hair like me and Frost himself, I'd say you'll probably try to get a haircut like once every 2 weeks. I feel like that's more a reasonable time. Like
Yeah,
we would love for people to get a haircut once a week, but it doesn't really make sense getting a haircut once a week because you come back after a week, there's nothing to cut anyway.
there's nothing
So
to cut.
yeah, so it's better if you get a haircut like once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. It all comes down to your financial situation as well. Some people can only get it once a month, and that's perfectly fine. There's no pressure to get your haircut often. Just get it when needed, especially in tough times like this. And with washing your hair, I say it's the same for washing your hair. If you're getting your hair cut every 2 weeks, you wash your hair once every 2 weeks. Because especially with the water hair in the UK, it's quite hard. So it's not good for your hair. All that thing is not good for your hair, and that's why you see a lot of clients suffering from dry scalp and all that stuff because they wash their hair too often.
Yes.
And for products that I would never recommend is Head and Shoulder.
Mm. I was once told this. It goes, every product that you see on TV is not for you to use. And ever since then, I was a big fan of like using Head and Shoulders, and I kept realizing the more I used it, the more dry
Yeah.
my scalp became, and eventually, like, I had to say to myself, "Whoa, there's something wrong here." But man, that's important. It's important, and I feel like a lot of people do not know that. But a lot of these products that you see on TV are mass produced, which is terrible, terrible for your scalp, for your hair, and for a lot of people watching, make sure to download the app Yuka. You can use that to scan most of these products, your beauty products. They can tell you what chemicals they are made out of,
Yeah.
which one is good for you, what they would recommend on soap for your hair. The key message of today is your value does not decrease but based on someone's inability to see your value. That means that you're still who you are. You're still gonna be great. If I or anyone else is not able to see that value, such as life. but that does not mean that your greatness will ever stop. So I'm your host today, Kenneth. Thank you very much to Javon for being the first guest that I've had on this podcast. And we want to say we appreciate you guys. We hope to see you guys in the shop. Make sure to stay tuned. Keep listening. More podcasts coming weekly. We appreciate you guys. And Javon, for people that are watching this, where can they find you?
You can find me on my Instagram, Inevitable Cuts. That's all I'm gonna put on here. So if they want to reach me for a haircut or anything, just reach me on Inevitable Cuts, and
You
we
got you
chop it
got
up.
TikTok as well.
TikTok, Inevitable Cuts 01, and that's it.
All right, that's fine. You can find Javon. You heard him on Inevitable Cuts on Insta, on TikTok as well. So make sure you shoot him a message if you're interested in a haircut, interested in like like getting more
Advice, all that
information,
stuff.
advice on anything. Yeah, my brother and Honcho, I'm out. Love and respect are always.
Love my bro.